Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am Christopher Bean with Tactical Advantage, and today we're going to talk about some concepts relating to shooting. More apt, the gas, the brake, and the clutch.
This is not a paid endorsement, but I am a brand ambassador for Heckler and Koch USA. HK firearms are incredibly reliable, incredibly accurate, great firearms for defensive carry. From the new VP9A1 to the CC9 to the P30 that I have carried every day for the last 8 years, they are incredible firearms for defensive use. You carry a gun just in case. Shouldn't it be an HK just in case?
What's up, everybody? So welcome back. So today is a video that I really personally like doing versus like the technical shooting videos. I really like talking about concepts. And a concept I've been using for a while is kind of understanding the idea of the gas, the brake, and the clutch. So if you've looked over the last couple weeks, we've had videos about kind of introducing novelty and variety, where I kind of briefly mentioned this idea. The week before that, we were kind of talking about different levels of precision in our dry fire and in our live fire. And this is really kind of the concept behind that. So basically, I think everyone, once they understand this, things get a little bit easier. Some people explain it as levels of confirmation, and all of those things are perfectly valid. But I kind of like to think of it more simply as like every human has a gas, a brake, and a clutch. So if we look at like maybe like a clutch would be going from like an open target, you know, that big alpha, to maybe a 3x5 card. So we can let it rip, and our form will kind of hold a bunch of that for us. Indexing, a good solid grip, a somewhat well-defined trigger press will hold a whole bunch of shots in there. But when we have to induce the clutch, like we're kind of coasting into a stop sign, we're not really stopping. We're just putting that clutch in. We're not applying power. That would be more like a 3x5 card. So we go from this, which all of that would be acceptable, to this. You know, a little bit of a different shooting problem. So maybe not as much force, for lack of a better term. We're talking conversationally here, but we've got to be a wee bit more precise, a wee bit more accountable to get our shots in there. That would be kind of what I would kind of call clutching or applying clutch. You're disengaging power input, if that makes sense. So let's talk about like the brake. The brake would be like if we're transitioning into something that's very precise, or trying to do a multiple shot string into a 1-inch square, drawing to a 1-inch square. That would be, at least in my mind, kind of applying the brake. So where a draw to alpha would be, oh, I got a little janky. Let's do that again. Would be like wham, all gas, right? Where if we're doing it to a 1-inch square, I've got to get out there, get solid, get sorted. So that's maybe kind of rolling, and you're at the stop sign now. So I'm applying brake. Last would be gas. And gas would be like, say we're going from a 1-inch square to the entire alpha. So we have that draw where we had to apply brake. Getting onto that gas is something that throws a lot of people off. So when they go from a precise target, then go into a very open target, they tend to kind of hold that level of precision, for lack of a better way to put it, if we're talking about cadence. So they'll go pop, 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 pop. Or that transition takes a long time because their brain is thinking about brake, not gas. So it's almost like if we continue to use the same analogy, you know, you're breaking into the starting box of a quarter-mile race, but once that shot's there and you go to that, you need to dump the clutch, let it go, apply all the gas. And I see it over and over and over again that people tend to stay in the mode they were in when they started. So if they start doing a drill and they start on a very wide open alpha, they're like this, and then they have no control because they haven't applied any clutch, they haven't applied any brake. So if they move to a smaller target, it gets really hairy. Failure to stop is a great drill that shows you this. People draw all gas, no brakes, to the alpha, and then when they move to the head, they'll Charlie or Mike more often than not, versus going, hey, I can apply all the gas here, but I need a little clutch there, maybe a little brake there. I see it in transitions all the time where people tend to either go fast all the time or slow all the time, not necessarily modulating the shooting, letting either their vision or the target difficulty dictate how much of any of these they're applying. Now, I can't tell you what those numbers are for you. People want to hear percentages, things like that. It doesn't work because you are an individual, and how you shoot, your skill level, your vision, all of these things are subjective to you. What I suggest is you experiment with it and you start understanding what these things mean to you in your shooting. Once you begin to understand what they are, now you can influence them. Now you can progress forward, find things that you can work on versus waiting for someone to tell you the answer. Understand where you are. Understand that you have the ability to do all of these different things and figure out why you get stuck in a rut or why you're going super duper slow or super duper fast and missing. Once you understand these things, the progress you can make is significant. So this is the last concept I'm doing before we go moving into a drill that I've been kind of leading up to. That's where a bunch of these videos were kind of built to get us somewhere. So next week, we're going to start talking about a drill that I've been working on for quite some time that tests some of these things and tests them in a pretty significant way. So hopefully this helps. Again, work on this for a little bit. Start understanding what this means. And I don't care how you name it. I don't care the nomenclature that you use, but start understanding different shooting problems require different levels of input from you. Once you understand that, we should be testing it. See you next time.